Hi there, everyone, and welcome to Up North Live Unscripted at 6:30. I am Maya Engel, and what a lovely Wednesday afternoon we are experiencing today. Although this morning was a little different. It was pretty chilly this morning, and last night it was cold as well. Some areas even saw a bit of frost last night. So let's bring in our meteorologist, Joe Charlevoix. Joe, do you think it's going to get that cold again tonight?
Not tonight.
Okay.
So yep, plants back outside tonight.
Nice.
Yeah, it won't be quite as chilly, but it was one of the first nights we actually had this fall where, you know, we were down to around 30, 31 in some of our cooler spots. Yeah, and it was hard to come into work today. It was just such a gorgeous day out there.
It was.
This afternoon. We need some rain. There are a couple chances, Maya, you know, in the forecast. I don't think a ton of rain, but you know, there's a little bit anyway. We'll take a look at that, when we might see that, and another full look at the forecast, what to expect for the weekend a little later.
All right, thank you, Joe. And we are going to start tonight with tensions in the Middle East. So we are seeing new footage of the damage in Tel Aviv after Iran's missile strike this week. We're taking a look at that right now. The Israeli military says some of its air bases were hit, but only one office building and other maintenance areas were damaged. The IDF says no Air Force aircraft were impacted, so they are actually deeming this attack as ineffective. However, Israel does vow to retaliate against Iran. So today, our Cody Bear, he was able to sit down with former diplomat and Consul General of the United States, Jack Siegel. And Jack said that the violence in the Middle East is closer to a regional war than it is to a ceasefire. So here's Cody with that full story.
I think a ceasefire is just about dead. And I think the two-state solution, which is the desired outcome of the United States government, is also on life support, if it exists at all anymore.
Jack Siegel knows firsthand the layers of concern when it comes to the Mideast crisis. Siegel is a retired senior U.S. diplomat who served at the U.S. Embassy in Israel.
A ceasefire from the Israeli perspective now, after all the violence that's occurred in the last year, sounds to like they're letting the Palestinians and Iran and Hezbollah off the hook. Israel sees this as an opportunity to go into southern Lebanon and enforce a UN Security Council resolution that was passed in 2006, which called for Hezbollah to withdraw its military structure north of the Litani River, which would be about 15 miles north of the border with Israel. That's the demand of the Israelis. The Hezbollah has shown no interest in doing that. And now you have Iran taking the place of Hezbollah as the key player.
Siegel says that all participants, including the United States, should be worried about full-blown war.
The war in the Middle East is never good for anybody, including the participants. We are not a direct participant, but we are supporting our ally, Israel.
Ultimately, Siegel says it's up to both Israel and Iran to find a solution.
Israel must find a political solution that settles its dispute with the Palestinians and ultimately with Iran. But all such talks involve two players at least. And so far, there's not been a lot of dialogue coming from the other side. There's been attack after attack.
And Cody is joining us live now from our content center. Hi, Cody. Thanks so much for joining us on Unscripted.
Yeah, Maya, thanks for having me.
So your interview with Jack Siegel, you told me, was about 30 minutes long. Of course, that news story is only going to be 2 minutes. So a lot was talked about that you weren't able to include in that story. So can you go into a little more detail about why Siegel thinks we are so far away from a ceasefire?
Yeah, absolutely. So he mentioned at the end there that it's on both sides. And he says right about now, neither side really wants the ceasefire. He mentioned Iran is attacking over and over. And then on the other side, Israel, they're, in his words, fed up with it. And like he mentioned, it's kind of too far gone to the point where Israel feels like if they did just have a ceasefire now, they're letting their enemies off the hook for the violence that has already happened. So he framed it in a way when he was talking to me that it's really far in right now, and the violence has been, it's been a lot. So now it's kind of hard to just go to a ceasefire after all of that.
And he did say that the U.S. is involved with this conflict, but how is the U.S. involved? What did he say about that?
Yes, so the United States is an ally with Israel, and he mentioned that. And when he said they're not a direct participant, of course, not yet, but the big way that they're involved right now, the biggest way that he told me, is through intelligence. They work together on a lot of things, one of them being a missile defense system, which Israel has used a lot. So it's things like that. It's where they work together, use their intelligence together to kind of create that kind of thing, and that's how they're allied together. So while they're not a direct participant right now, that's kind of the United States' role in it all at this very moment.
And today, our question of the day, which we'll show you folks at home in a few minutes, is the U.S. doing enough to help secure a ceasefire agreement? Did Siegel say anything about that?
He mentioned that, you know, the U.S. is kind of involved in the talks, and the United States, their biggest priority right now is a ceasefire agreement, and you hear that a lot. But he also mentioned it's not really the United States. You know, they can't force it, they can't make it happen, and at the end of the day, the two players that have to have the conversation in the Middle East are in the Middle East, and it's not the United States. You know, they can encourage it, they can say this is what we need to do, but they can't force it. It's up to those other two players.
So what are some other things that he mentioned that you didn't get to include in your story?
A big thing was about the citizens in both areas. A lot of citizens have lost their homes, and you know, he used the quote again, kind of they were fed up with the violence, and he said that a lot of the citizens as well now are kind of fed up with it and want to see it end. But he mentioned Israel especially. A lot of the citizens there are, he said that a lot of Americans believe that Israeli citizens want a ceasefire in the high majority, but he says that's actually not the case. A lot of them that have lost their homes don't necessarily want it. They say that their quote-unquote enemies should be punished. So a lot of it is the citizens on both sides aren't totally against it now, which of course doesn't help when it comes to ceasefire talks. So it's kind of looking at them and how their vibe is, and it's gotten more and more pro less ceasefire talks, and hey, like, I'm fed up with the situation we're in, and they want it to end, and a ceasefire would be great, but at this point it's kind of, I'm fed up with the situation, we got to do what we have to do.
Is there anything else you want to mention, Cody, about your experience sitting down with Jack Siegel today?
Yeah, he absolutely, you know, he's been involved with these conversations, and he's very much kept his finger on the pulse. So a lot of things that he's talking about and he's seeing, there's validity to it. So it's very interesting to kind of sit down with him and see what he's saying.
All right, Cody, thank you so much for joining us and for going into a little more detail about your interview with Jack Siegel. We really appreciate it. And we are going to turn things over to a local story. This is one of our top local stories today in Lake County. So a third grade student at Baldwin Community Schools was handcuffed by a school resource officer after throwing objects at staff on Monday. Now, the incident is being reviewed by the school and by the Lake County Sheriff's Office. So here's kind of what happened. This is what the superintendent, they sent out a letter to all of the different parents in the school district, and this is what superintendent says happened. The student was aggressive and uncooperative and was flipping over desks and throwing different objects at the staff, like chairs and scissors. So the superintendent says before calling the school resource officer for help, the school's principal and a social worker tried to intervene and calm the student down, but then the school district says handcuffs were placed on the student to prevent any harm to that student, to other students, and to the staff. And we also know, based on that letter from the superintendent, that before things did escalate, that the first step the teacher in that classroom took was removing all the other students from the classroom. So it sounds like it was just the student and some of the school staff in the classroom. And once the student was placed in handcuffs, the child's parents were called to the school, and then they did take the child home. So at this point, this is all we know, but like I said, the school district and the county sheriff's office is investigating the incident, and you know, we probably won't hear any updates on this specific scenario for a while, but when we do hear any updates, we will be sure to keep you updated. Now, of course, another huge story happening across the country is the aftermath of Hurricane Helene and just the devastation that is caused in so many states. And there is a man here in northern Michigan who is trying to do his part to help out. So an Antrim County pilot is making several trips to North Carolina this week to help those impacted by Hurricane Helene. You can see some of those pictures there. This is Timothy Bass of Torch Lake Township. He is making the first trip with donations today, and he'll be making a second trip tomorrow. So if you would like to help donate any items, you can drop off donations at the white trailer parked at the Torchport Airport Terminal building or AV Flight in Traverse City. And some of the items needed include baby food and other baby supplies, bandages, batteries, medicine, and more. And like I said, there's more needed. So you can go to our website, UpNorthLive.com, and that is where you can find a full list of items needed and with more specific details about where you can drop off those donations. I'm not sure if he's going to be making any other trips besides the one today and tomorrow, but if you can get those donations today or early tomorrow before he leaves, that would probably be best, because we don't know if he'll be making any other trips anytime soon. So those are some of our top local stories of the day. And I just realized that I totally skipped over the question of the day. So that was related to our first story. So let's go back to that. Sorry to the guys in the back. I know I'm making things a little complicated for you. The question of the day today is the U.S. doing enough to help secure a ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas? Something I mentioned, but we didn't actually show you the graphic. And this is how you can vote. You can scan that QR code on your screen right now. And as of right now, it's pretty split. 52% of people say yes, 48% say no. And if you want to join in the conversation, you can go to our Up North Live Facebook page. As always, we have a post with our question of the day. You can leave a comment under that. You can also go to our live stream of this unscripted show right now. So if you're watching it on Facebook and YouTube, you can leave a live comment. If you're watching on ABC, you can go maybe to our Facebook page and leave a comment, and I will read some of those later. But we will continue to take a look at the results as the show goes on. So we are going to take a quick commercial break, but we're going to be back in just a few minutes. We'll bring back in Chief Meteorologist Joe Charlevoix. He mentioned, obviously, we need rain. There could be a chance to see some rain sometime soon, so he'll time that out for us and have the full forecast for the rest of the week and the weekend in just a few minutes.
I'm Jada Johnson from Big Boys TV, and the Fish and Game Report is sponsored by Johnson's Propane.
Welcome back, everyone, and gosh, what a lovely fall day here in northern Michigan. We're seeing temperatures, I think, in like the 50s and 60s. It's sunny. It's just really pleasant out there, but as we mentioned earlier, it has been getting a little colder at night. Shouldn't be as cold tonight, though. But Joe, let's look ahead to the weekend, because why not? I know everyone's looking ahead to the weekend. So are we going to see more sunshine and kind of nice, mild weather?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Saturday, enjoy your day.
Okay.
That's the day maybe check out some
Sure.
fall color, late season golf game, whatever you want to do. Maybe go swimming in Lake Michigan. It's going to be warm. Sunday, though, there's the chance for a little rain, which we do need.
Yes.
Yeah. I want to go, let's go up north. Whitefish Point. I think I've asked you, ever been there? I've never been. Yeah. Do yourself a favor, you and your friend.
Yeah.
Take a
My
trip
one
north.
friend. I have more than one friend.
Well, we'll all go. Yeah, great spot. And this is a newer camera for us, but this was sunrise. And then they moved the camera right there. And then you can see Canada in the distance and some clouds. What a nice view there over Whitefish Bay earlier today. Let's take a look at the wind. So a couple things here. It has been windy, especially up north. Newberry, you're still seeing gusts to 30 miles per hour. It was a windy one in Sault Ste. Marie earlier as well. It'll stay breezy tonight as we go through the night tonight. But the other thing to take note of in this is the direction of the wind. Yesterday it was cool. We had a north wind. Now see the arrows are coming out of the south. And so while we did have some chilly weather last night, these were the actual low temperatures. This was last night. But Grayling did get down to 30. We had frost there. Pelston 31. And even at Cadillac, Houghton Lake, and West Branch, we'll throw Manistee in there too, within a degree or two of freezing last night. So, but remember the south wind? It's warming things up. So that was last night. Here's what we're looking at tonight. And you see the 30s are gone. Grayling about the only spot maybe in the 40s tonight. So no worries on frost tonight. And it'll be noticeably warmer tomorrow morning as you step out early in the day. We'd have a cold front. There it is, that blue line kind of inching in there on Duluth, Minnesota, that region. That's going to pass through our area tomorrow. Now, not a lot is going to happen. There's just not much moisture for this front to interact with. So there's right now, breezy tonight. We'll head into the morning. See the green arrows? Watch the shift in the wind. Watch tomorrow. That's our front passing right there. Now, there's not going to be any rain during the day tomorrow. I don't expect any anyway. But tomorrow evening and tomorrow night. So right there, and these are light showers. This is not a big rain at all. And this is tomorrow night into early Friday. A couple showers around. We'll get rid of the clouds as the day goes on. And there we are Friday afternoon. We're back to pleasant weather. It'll be a little cooler on Friday with low and mid 60s. And then just for fun, we'll take you out into the beginning of the weekend. There's Friday night. By the way, high school football is going to be right about here in this time frame. And a couple clouds floating by. That's it. Looks pretty nice for football Friday night. And then Saturday, well, there's in the middle of the afternoon Saturday. We're back to a south wind and pleasant weather. The best chance for rain, it's right here. We have another front coming in that's late Saturday night. It'll be windy Saturday night, and there's Sunday morning. So the thought right now, if we time this out, is that this front will pass Sunday morning with some rain and then head out of here by the afternoon. So we might get a dry afternoon in Sunday, but the morning could be a bit wet. And we do need the rain for sure. The long-range rain, not too much. Right there is that front passing. And we could see, maybe up to a ½ inch of rain then. Extended forecast looks like this. We just kind of timed everything out for you. But that best chance for some rain over the next week looks to be Sunday morning into early afternoon. And then look at Monday, behind that front, cooler weather, mid and upper 50s, which actually isn't that far from normal. We just haven't had a lot of cool weather. So it'll be one of the cooler days so far this fall on Monday.
All right, Joe, thanks so much for that. We are going to take another quick commercial break, but when we come back, we will bring in sports director Harrison Beebe. And boy, do we have a lot to talk about in sports. Another exciting day for us Detroit Tigers fans. So all of that right after the break. Well, how about them Tigers? For the first time in 11 years, the Detroit Tigers have won a playoff series. They beat the Astros today to send Houston home for the season, while the Tigers have a date with Cleveland, the ALDS, on Saturday. So for more on today's big game, let's bring in our sports director, Harrison Beebe, live now from the Content Center. Hey, Harrison.
Hey, Maya. Yeah, congrats on getting the weather quiz right in the 5 o'clock broadcast on 7 and 4, and correctly knowing 2013 was the last Tiger victory in the postseason. And yeah, this is something we've been without for a while. Obviously, the Lions helped fill a little bit of a void in January with a couple playoff wins. You know very well. You were at both of those. And see, it just goes to show Detroit didn't necessarily need you in attendance to lock up a win. I know it was going to be tough for you to get down to Houston, but the boys pulled off. I mean, this is a baseball team that I can't. There's a lot of people that have watched baseball way longer than I have, but I've been pretty locked into the major leagues for about 20 years now. And I haven't seen a team like this, at least a Tiger team for sure. But a group like this that was so out of it 2 months ago and then is now beating down relentlessly these teams that the Astros had made 7 straight American League Championship Series. That's the final. So they got past the divisional series and made the Final Four every year, if not won a few World Series in that time. There was some controversy associated with the cheating scandal back in the late 2010s. But this was a powerhouse Major League Baseball program, and the Tigers just took 2 straight from them in Houston. They couldn't even use Justin Verlander to help him out. He was just forced to watch from the bench. Maybe JV was secretly smiling after all that was said and done. But Andy Ibanez coming up with the clutch hit in the 8th when they were down, or it was a tie game at the point that Andy Ibanez came to the plate, and he hit a 3-run double down the line. When I was watching live, I still don't know where that ball landed, but the ump signaled fair, so I was starting to celebrate. But every replay I've seen, I want to see how close to the foul line that got, because that was such a huge hit to lock up this series, where a lot of people were probably starting to sweat after the Astros came back and jumped ahead 2-1 in the Tigers earlier. But Tigers win 5-2, and as you said, they're moving on.
And Cleveland is a team that the Tigers have struggled with, to say the least, in the past couple years. So it could be a tough challenge for the Tigers.
It'll be interesting, but I did just look up the regular season series. It was 7-6, so not as lopsided this year as you might think. The Guardians did win 7 games to the Tigers 6, and that series will get started Saturday. Here's why the Tigers have an advantage. Not only are they the hottest team in baseball, which already gives them kind of a leg up, Cleveland has not played a game since Sunday, and I tell you what, we learned this in the Tigers World Series losses in 2006 and 2012. If you take a week off from baseball and you're not playing competitively and swinging the bats, you have a slow start to those games. So that's going to be to a huge Tiger advantage on the road in Cleveland on Saturday. It's going to be a 1 o'clock first pitch for Game 1. So Joe was just talking about the weather plans this weekend. If you're a Tiger fan, you're going to want to be by a TV Saturday afternoon, because that'll be Game 1 of that series. And then Game 2 will be on Monday in Cleveland. And for those of you who maybe want to invest some money and head downstate, I know we're talking about covering it for the station here. Games 3 and 4 will be at Comerica Park next Wednesday and Thursday. And in my opinion, the Tigers, at least competitively, have a leg up. We'll see how good Cleveland is as the AL Central champions beginning on Saturday in the best of 5 ALDS.
All right, Harrison, thanks so much for breaking down that Tigers win and looking ahead to this weekend's matchups. We are going to take another quick commercial break, but when we come back, we will look back at our question of the day and see if those results changed at all. So stay with us. You're watching Up North Live Unscripted at 6:30.
Salon services are furnished by Epiphany Advanced Academy in East Acme.
Looks like about 155 people voted on our question of the day today, and that is the U.S. doing enough to help secure a ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas? As of right now, 54% say yes, whereas 46% say no. Scan that QR code on your screen right now if you haven't voted yet. But that'll do it for Up North Live Unscripted. Thanks so much for joining us. We hope to see you back here tonight at 11 o'clock, and have a great night.